My name is Richard. I work with Ideate Software here up in Massachusetts, and she gave all the background, so all I need to do is say that if you'd like to have any additional questions answered, you can always contact me at richard.taylor@ideatesoftware.com. I'm always happy to connect with people on LinkedIn or on X slash Twitter. I guess I should just be calling it X now, or the platform formerly known as Twitter. So today we've got, as Annalisa said, a very brief 30 minutes of talking about Ideate software and how we can improve your Revit QA QC processes. And I'm going to kind of delve into exactly what do we mean by quality assurance and quality control in just a minute here. But Ideate software creates 6 add-on solutions to Revit. And so I'm going to be talking about those solutions in just a second. So Ideate software, we are an application developer. Like I said, we create these applications for Revit. And not only do we create the applications, but we do a lot of online support. So we have, getting started guides. We have online help. As Annalisa said, we also take all of our assets, a lot of the videos and training materials, and we upload them to Eagle Point. So Eagle Point is also a partner with us as well. We are developing on the last 4 releases of Revit. So when you go to our software solutions page, you can download the latest and greatest for Revit 2020 through 2024. Now, that doesn't mean that earlier versions aren't available. It's just that we've archived them and we're no longer developing new features on, as an example, 2018 or 2019. Also, this is always good. We have a YouTube playlist and a What's New in Ideate software. Let me click on that just to have that go, and I'll show you that in a second. So you can see here there's a recording of what's new, basically, and also, like I said, our YouTube playlist. These are all available again from our website, but I just thought I'd let you know that we do have a YouTube channel if you search for Ideate software. And so you can see here that you have basically all the videos that we've created for this last major release, which was in May of 2023. We aligned with Revit 2024, but we also made updates, like I said, to previous versions. All right. So here's kind of a breakdown real quickly of our solutions. And today we're really going to be focusing on this page. So we're going to talk about quality assurance and quality control. And we have basically 4 solutions that I think are really focused in this area, which is Ideate Explorer, allowing you to understand every single element in your Revit model and be able to, again, look at the quality control of, are things on the right level? Are things on the right work set? What kind of elements do you have? So it's basically, it is the project browser on steroids. It's showing you every single element of your Revit project. Then we have Ideate BIMLink, and that's our tool allowing you to extract parameter information from the Revit model, send it to Excel, and then make edits or changes, and then import that back into the Revit model. So you can do all kinds of health checks and review information, and like I said, make some changes in Excel, and then be able to update the Revit model. StyleManager is our solution that is, I trying to compare it to Explorer, where Explorer is looking at the actual elements, meaning doors, windows, walls, lines, text, the things that are actually in your model. But then there are things that Revit has, like view templates, object styles, line patterns, materials, and those things are harder to manage. And so that's where we developed Ideate StyleManager to be able to understand if these elements or these styles are being used in your project and where they are, and allowing you to clean them up and merge them and make sure that they meet your standards. And then finally, our tool called Ideate Automation allows you to script certain tasks. So it could be like a PDF publish, or maybe a DWG, or a Navisworks NWC or IFC extraction. But it could also be a health check. It could be reviewing warnings information within your model. And so I'm going to show a little bit about that with Ideate Automation. And we just released a new version of Ideate Automation, actually just a couple weeks ago. And then these solutions on the second page, I'm not going to cover today. Just because we don't have the time, as we talked about. And also a couple weeks ago, or maybe actually a month ago, I did a presentation on Ideate apps, and I know that that's available on the Microsol resources webpage. So please take a look at that. But Ideate Sticky allows you to link PDF, Word, and Excel documents into the Revit model. And then Ideate Apps is a collection of 10 productivity tools for all users. So again, there are some definitely QA, QC processes, but I'm going to focus on those other solutions. So what is QA, QC? Well, the way I kind of define it is quality assurance is having the standards in place and ensuring that those standards are sort of adhered to. So you're going to come up with like let's say a BIM execution plan, and you've got certain standards and you're trying to follow those. Quality control is, well, what happens if those, the standards kind of go off track, right? So as you build up your model, things get on the wrong work set. Elements are, not where they're supposed to be, or they're not merged to the right style. So there's this system of sort of checking our quality control or fixing issues. So that's sort of my definition. So the first solution is called Ideate Explorer. And as I mentioned, it is the model browser. It is allowing you to look at every single element in the Revit model and really do a quick, quality assurance, quality control on this. So I'm going to switch over to Revit here. Oops, I went too far. I'm using Revit 2024. This is the Snowden data set, which maybe a lot of you are familiar with, that came with Revit 2024. All of the Ideate software solutions are available in the Ideate software tab. I'm going to come over here to Ideate Explorer. And the first thing it shows me is it says, well, you can look at the display for the entire project or the active view. In the active view, I have 7,000 elements, but in the entire project, I actually have 28,000 elements. And as I said, this is listing every single element. So I can come down here to, as an example, a curtain panel. I can say, oh, here's a system panel. This is a solar wall edge panel. And I can double click and actually highlight that one. Or I can say, well, you know what? All of these solar wall edge panels, they actually should be changed. And in fact, what I want to do is say that they want that to be a different type of CP solar edge panel that has the actual solar panels on them. So now I just swapped all of those. So it's very easy to select elements and swap their components. Not only can I look at a project by the entire project in the active view, I can also look at category, level, phase, room. So I'm going to go back to level here. I'm going to clear the selection. And I'm going to come over here and I see, oh, there's a green roof hardscape and green roof access. So in this case, there are some doors here. And I happen to know that, oh, that shouldn't be that door. I'm going to double click on that, look at that door, and actually select all of these. They're on the wrong level. They really should be on green roof access. So now I can select those and say, oh, that should be green roof access. And I can make the apply and make that change. And then those are going to get recategorized. So now they're on the green roof access. The doors, there were 3 that I just moved. There were already 7. So now there's 10. So great way to be able to, like I said, understand all this information. You can also come over here and look at warnings, which is really important. So again, you're QAing, QCing your model. You come over here and you say, oh, well, I've got these 2 floor slabs. Kind of hard for me to see. So what I'm going to do is select both of them. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say isolate those elements. Once I isolate those elements, it becomes pretty clear where the conflict is, right? And I can use any particular command in Revit. So in this case, I'm just going to edit the boundary. I'm going to go beyond, probably what it needs to be, but I am not going to attach that. That's fine. We'll say yes. And now notice that warning goes away. And then in this case, then I can come over here and say, reset my temporary hide isolate, and I'm back to the full model view. In this particular case, where there are identical instances, I have the ability to say, well, you know what? I actually want to either retain the originals or retain the latest. In this case, I want to retain the latest, and it can put this into a deletion of 44 furniture, 7 supports. And then I actually know that some of those were actually penned. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say, oh, okay, well, that's understandable. I can come over here to Explore. I can say current selection. And basically on that current selection, then I can say, oh, I want to go ahead and, unpin those and then go ahead and go through the deletion again. So, again, this is, giving me this access to the model. All right. So that's Ideate Explorer in a nutshell. The next solution is Ideate BIMLink. And this is what I was talking about, allowing you to extract information from the Revit model, all the parameter information, and send it to Excel and be able to make changes and updates. And so you could rename views, you can basically rename anything within Revit, and you can also export, like I said, that parameter data. So if I switch back over here to Revit, and we're going to close Ideate Explorer, and we're going to come over here to Ideate Software, and we're going to open up Ideate BIMLink. And in Ideate BIMLink, what I'm going to do is I've already got some what we call link definitions. They're kind of like schedules, but I'm going to go over here and say new. And we supply about 400 library link definitions. And you'll notice that standards is really like quality assurance is what I was mentioning, all these standards. And if I click on any one of these, like line types, it will give a description like edit the line weight, line color, and line pattern values. Or if I come down here to standards tags, it says enter the, edit the tag information. So if but I'm going to switch over here to quality control. And, again, each one of these has a description, list of 2D annotative elements. But we're going to come down here and select on our, let me see the one I want. I want the QC workset. So this says review and edit workset organization for model elements. So I'm going to say next. So what it's actually compiling right now is a list of all elements and their worksets and all categories. But in case, I'm going to select so I can choose, individual categories, right? But in this case, I'm going to come to the filters and I'm going to say, you know what? I just want to review the workset called furniture as an example. So I'm going to say where the workset contains the word furniture. And you'll see why I do this in a second. And there is you see this elements must pass all filters. You can do or conditions or and conditions. But in this case, basically, if the workset is editable, the category is applicable, and the workset contains anywhere, like in this case, you see it's arch underbar furniture, then it's going to show that with the appropriate elements. So I'm going to say done. We're going to export this to our QC worksets, which I already have, but it'll overwrite that. And then I'm going to open up the file. So this is the file in Excel, right? And so I'm going to quickly scan, and you see I've got, shelving and pergolas, and I've got tables, all that's furniture, right? Shelving. But right away I see that, there's 2 floors. Well, that is wrong. So what I can do is switch that to like the core and shell. And I can also do this with Ideate Explorer, as I mentioned, but this is a nice way to be able to kind of review it in a tabular format real quickly. And again, if you have thousands of elements, sometimes, I'm just changing 2, but you might need to change 500 or 600 all that they got, categorized on the wrong workset. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and close that, and then come back here to import. So I'll do the reverse. Now I import from the QC workset, and you'll notice it says, it made the change. So this was the furniture. It's now the architecture core and shell. It highlights here the 2 elements that were changed. And now I can import that into my model, and those changes are made. And I can continue looking through and seeing, again, more of those quality control type of selections. Okay, so that's a real quick spin on Ideate BIMLink. Ideate StyleManager, as I mentioned, it is allowing me to look at all of these styles like, object styles, line styles, view templates, and really understand if they're being used and where they're being used. So let's go back here to Revit. This time I'm going to call up Ideate StyleManager. I'm just going to show you how one of these, and we call all of these items collections, how one of them works, and they're pretty much all very similar. So I'm going to do fill patterns. You notice there's some colors here. I can isolate duplicates. So basically everything in the same color is, according to, Revit, a duplicate. So there's this small crosshatch, and then someone called it crosshatch small, right? So this can happen when you're copying families from one model to another. or someone is working and they just created a new one and they called it something that was different. So like I have this Wood 4 drafting, right? And I have a Wood 1 drafting, and I'm double clicking to see if they're even being used. Because sometimes you get these styles and you'll notice that there is actually 0 instances. So those can be deleted and you're not impacting the model at all. So in this case, it looks like there was a material called wood birch that's using this Wood 4 drafting pattern. Now let's look at Wood 1. Oh, there's a whole series of families. So what I'm going to do is take Wood 1 and I'm going to merge it into Wood 4. So I'm going to say duplicate definition here, merge. So now we're going to have something called Wood 4, and it's going to have all of that information. Now it's no longer there, right? Because it's no longer a duplicate. So I can untick isolate duplicates. I can search for wood, and there's a whole series of these items, right? So there's Wood 4. Let's double click. And so now this should have both the material as well as the 4 family instances. I think it was 4, maybe 5. Yeah, so here's the families and then now the material. So they've been merged together. And then at this point, I might want to then rename this so that it makes something a little bit more sense. So we'll call it Wood Birch, right? Because that's the actual pattern, which seems to be using the material Wood Birch. Because a lot of these were just called, again, Wood 1, Wood 2. So, they're not very descriptive. So I'm now cleaning up, I'm doing, quality control on this model, where I can understand now that that Wood Birch drafting pattern has 6 instances used in the model, 5 families and 1 material. And you'll notice other things. I think there's again, there's this Wood 1 that we had looked at, or I shouldn't say, it was a different Wood 1 that we looked at because it's a different pattern here. And so when I'm analyzing this, I just wanted to show you that it's also using other items. So for instance, it's got families, it's got materials, it's got an element type, which is a filled region. So, again, it's going to show you all of these things. And then you can look at, like I said, filters that are being used. So, maybe I have a, 2-hour filter. Is it being used? Well, yeah, it's being used in these 2 architectural view templates and these 2 views. The same thing with parameters. I can look at parameters and say, oh, let me look at doors, doors per level, and see, if I'm not analyzing them yet in schedules, but I'm going to look at them sort of briefly, and you can see that I've got some parameters used in levels and so forth. So great tool for that. All right, so about at the end here, the last one is Ideate Automation, and this pulls it all together. Ideate Automation is our latest release. As I said, just a couple weeks ago, we're able to script so that you can open Revit models and schedule them so that when you come into the office at 8 a.m., the model is already open for you. You can schedule PDF, IFC, NWC, DWG exports or publish. You can publish to the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And then if you're using Ideate software, you can do things like health checks, quantity takeoffs, clash reports, and so forth. So I wanted to show you that a little bit here. This is Ideate Automation. And so what I have is a number of tasks, right? And so I'm going to clone a task called Ideate Health Check. And I can include annotation issues, which is what I'm highlighting here. And I'm going to say, all right, use that file that I specified. That file can be on the Autodesk Construction Cloud, or it can be local model. I'm running this right now, but like I said, I can schedule this to run at 2 in the morning. It will then open up Revit and do the performed tasks. So in this case, it's doing a health check, and I've sped this up a little bit in this quick video. So it's extracting all the information from the Revit model and all the warnings data. And you see that it's still running here, but it's going to be completed. I've got a log file of like all of the actions when it completes. I want to show you that you can, show the scheduled tasks. I can come over here and I can schedule the task. As I mentioned, this health check, I can run it every night on one model or 10 models or 20 models. In this case, I'm starting it right at midnight, and I'm calling it my health check. So When that runs at night, like I said, when the computer's not in use, then I can come in the morning and I can double click on my health check. You see, I have a whole series of them here. And this is a template that we give you. And the template has a summary using pivot tables. And I can specify like, oh, if you're over 10 in-place families, give me a warning. And if you're over so many line styles, give me a warning. So all of those tabs below are directly from the model using the green is Ideate Explorer, the orange is Ideate Apps, and the blue is Ideate BIMLink, allowing you to extract that information, but then it gives you a nice summary. So here is the summary of sort of this one page of, oh, I have 75 total warnings, I have 23 average issues per sheet, and so forth. So like I said, really nice. And then it's giving me those consistent results. So as you saw, I scheduled it to happen at midnight every single evening, and I can review this information. And I know that it's, like I said, consistent. I can also take that information and bring that into Power BI. If you're an Ideate Software customer, we have a Power BI template that you can request if you're using Ideate Automation. And this will show you, again, warnings over time for multiple models. And you can set what those thresholds are. So in this case, you see 579 views that are not on sheet. I've got 15 model lines and 22 detail groups. And so I've specified what are those thresholds that are going to kind of make that red, as opposed to just giving me sort of information. All right. And then I wanted to quickly mention, again, our other two applications that I'm not going to have time to show here, but Ideate Sticky, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh, now I got me my overall here. So let's go to the next one. Whoops. Turn on I don't want to use subtitles. Okay, sorry about that. I obviously clicked the wrong thing there. Oops. And let's go to the last slide that I was on. Okay, Ideate Sticky. All right. So Ideate Sticky allows you to link Word, PDF, and Excel documents into the Revit project and keep those up to date. So it's a live link. And so if the source documents change, the information displayed within Revit can also change. And then, as I said, Ideate Apps is our solution, allowing you to really increase the Revit productivity by going through and saying that I've got these sheet and views. I can understand why something doesn't display in a particular view with our Ideate X-ray. I can understand using smart deletes, the dependencies of an element that I'm going to be deleting. So if you're interested in Ideate Apps, again, on the Microsol resources page, web resources, or I think it's under events, there is the last one that we did in September that was focusing on Ideate Apps.